Hello and welcome to the yearly annual official IVRC Bathurst 200. My name is Mark Sterker and I'm commentating for you today. Let's see how the starting grid looks. We've got Nicola Bianco on pole this year, Christian Alvarez with a pretty impressive run on P2, followed by Martinas Jurgelovicius, Saulius Laurinavicius, then Arimas Auga, Laszlo Teglas, Chris Davis, Felix Kims, Peter Jones, Kenneth Rackland, and Sven Arne Andersson. We already missed the qualifying like I mentioned before. We're now in the warm-up session, as you can see, waiting for the last 5 minutes to get over and switch to the race, which will be approximately 32 laps in length, which resembles in around a race length of about 70 minutes. The Mount Panorama circuit is one of the most beautiful locations to race on. We've already held the Bathurst 200 in 2018 and 2019 here in IVRC. Last year's winner Lucas Murno won't be participating today, as we've lost unfortunately quite a few drivers throughout the last season, but we are ready to recover from that and back on racing action. Approximately Nicola Bianco, Martinas Jurgelovicius, Christian Alvarez and Peter Jones will be fighting for the victory today. Let's switch into some onboard racing action from Sven Arne Andersson to get you ready for the race and give you a little hint on how the race might sound like. We head right into the race. Here we go. We are in the racing session. As mentioned before, we're doing 32 laps today, and we'll take a look on the starting grid and their way up to turn 1. Peter Jones and Kenneth Rackland will start from the back of the grid, as they were not able to do their minimum practice laps and therefore were banned from the qualifying session, but will be allowed to take part during the race. 5 red lights, and off we go! Christian Alvarez with a pretty awesome start. Maybe able to attack Nicky Avianco for first position. They go side by side into the first turn. Alvarez gets a little bit wide. Maybe the chance for Oren's Auga and Solis Laurenvicius to attack him on the inside. Now we're going on the uphill section, and we see that Martinas Jurgelovicius was able to attack Christian Alvarez and switch into second position. Quite a little hectic on the start. Nicky Avianco was able to defend his first position, his lead, and now definitely wants to get a little gap, to create a gap to Jurgelovicius to secure, maybe already in the beginning of the race, his win. So we see Christian Alvarez in third, Chris Davis in fourth, with an awesome start. Solis Laurenvicius dropped one position to fifth. Laszlo Teglash in sixth. Peter Jones already up to seventh, made up 3 positions. Aramas Auga in eighth. Felix Kims in ninth. Kenneth Ragland in 10th, and Sven Arne Andersen in 11th. Which means we had no big trouble during the first few sectors. No collisions, no spins or stuff like that. Everything's quite fine and yeah, quite interesting. Bianca now definitely trying to create a gap as soon as possible. Already up in the lead by 1.5 seconds so far. Jurgelovicius seems to get a little bad of an exit downhill. So he loses a little bit of time there, like 1 or 2 tenths. But and Jurgelovicius with the mistake. He does a little mistake, has to go off track, and that costs time. It costs time, and his tires are now dirty, which doesn't help him as well. Meanwhile, Christian Alvarez got overtaken by Chris Davis, and now by Solis Laurenvicius as well. Alvarez down to 5th right now, but he tries to re-overtake Solis for 4th position, not quite able to do it. The field is really close together. I guess we could take a look on the onboard with Christian Alvarez. Oh, and gets a little tap from behind from Peter Jones, who then overtakes him for 5th position. Peter Jones now up by 5 positions already. Started from 10th, now up in 5th. Laszlo Teglash and Christian Alvarez pummeling around right after him, fighting for 6th and 7th position. Alvarez now down to 8th. That's definitely not the starting phase he wanted to get. Starting from 2nd position, now down to 8th after just 1.5 laps. That was not planned at all. Maybe he can recover, but he definitely needs to show some nerves right now and show his driving abilities. Peter Jones gets a little tap from Laszlo Teglash. Quite okay in those cars, those supercars V8s. Are definitely able to deal with that. Shouldn't be the big deal in the end. And as you can see in the background, quite a big gap between Jurgelovicius and Chris Davis now, between 2nd and 3rd position, already up 5 seconds. Maybe Peter Jones now with the dive around the outside, can't really do it. Chris Davis is a little bit slow right there. Gets overtaken by Solis Laurenvicius. Peter Jones will definitely try to make the move in the last corner. And yeah, Chris Davis backs up a little bit. I guess it's pretty important to do your own race in such events. Now Laurenvicius with a mistake. Jones went through already up in 3rd. Chris Davis on the inside. Maybe you can re-overtake him. Regain the position. A little bit of a tap. But that seemed quite fine. We've got like 2 laps done right now. And there's so much action going on already. The field is really close together between the positions 3 and 11. Just 10 seconds separating all the cars. Oh, and Lauren Vicious tries it. Uphill. A little overtake move I already done myself on Jesus Chirinos during 2019's TCC season. Really hard to do, but yeah, you just have to accept it if you're on the outside. If you don't accept it, you're getting the collision, and if you collide, you're most likely both losing many time. Into the cockpit view of Laszlo Teglas. Right behind Sal is Lauren Vicious. Maybe he's a little bit faster, but he can't play it out right now. It's not that easy to overtake with those cars, especially not on this track, as the whole uphill mountain section we just went through is pretty tough to overtake someone. It's really narrow and no really big gaps, no chances to stick in, maybe to try a dive bomb, but that's not the fine way, and yeah, actually most of the guys don't do that at all. We've also got a little fight going on between Sven Arne Andersen and Kenneth Rackland. Right here in the background. Now Peter Jones with the fastest lap, trying to gain as much as time as possible to get back to the leader, Nicky Avianco. He's already down by 8 seconds right now, but there's Martinas Juglevicius right between them. Rackland with a little tap from behind, showing Anderson, hey, I'm here. You need to get a little bit faster or I'll just overtake you. Maybe it has woken him up. Peter Jones gaining really much time against Martinas Juglevicius and Nico Avianco in the lead. Here he did a little bit of a mistake, but yeah, it just cost him like half a second. Usually he don't do that much of mistakes. At least I'm not used to it. He's the vice champion of the Touring Car Championship 2020, and not only the vice champion but also the Rookies Cup winner by taking 9 wins during the last 11 races of the Rookies Cup, which is pretty impressive. He was most time unchallenged during the second half of the season, and yeah, he pretty much dominated the Macau events on the Formula 3 and GT3 World Cup. In the end, he lost the Formula 3 World Cup just by a miscommunication between him and the race direction. And now he's trying to get his win back here at the Bathurst 200. He's closing much in on Juglevicius. As you can see, he's really strong in the first sector. Pretty sure if he gets the uphill section and the mountain section in the sector 2 right, he'll be able to attack him for a second position on the back straight in sector 3, right in front of the chicane. And now Juglevicius can definitely feel the pressure from Jones. Also, Juglevicius is not that used to it, to stand under that much pressure. at least not in IVRC. Just had a few races right here, and yeah, he's done a decent job, but usually he wasn't able to fight for the podium positions. Right now he definitely is. After he lost quite a time during the first few laps on Bianco, he was able to stay with him on a pretty constant gap of 7.5 seconds. Jones with a little mistake on the last corner of the mountain section that might prevent him from overtaking Jurlevicius. Yeah, he won't try it. He won't try it. Not too hard. If you try too hard, you make mistakes, and if you make mistakes, you lose time. And that's definitely what he wants to avoid right now, but he tries it. Can Jones do it around the outside on the last corner? Usually not. And again, not this time. But he's definitely the faster guy on track right now. He just don't want to be too aggressive to collide with Jurlevicius. He's doing it really smart right now, but the problem is Bianco is running away at the front as those two are battling for a second. So they definitely need to get their strategy straight. Now Jones has overtaken him. Jurlevicius back into the slipstream, trying to maybe regain second position. Oh, Jones with a big tank slapper right there. But he seems to be able to keep the second position, at least for now. And if he can stabilize his car again and get rid of those shaky hands he probably got right now because of that mistake, then he should definitely be able to close the gap to Bianco. That will be very interesting to see throughout the rest of the race. But for now, I think this duel shall be over. So we'll switch a little bit back to the other guys and see what's going on track. We've got Solis Laurenvicius still in 4th position. So nothing changed right there. Laszlo Teglas still in 5th. Chris Davis dropped back a little bit onto 6th position. Christian Alvarez in 7th. Was able to re-overtake Aramis Auga, who's right behind him at the moment. Maybe we get into some onboard action right here on the hood. Follow down Christian Alvarez through the last few corners of the mountain section. Alvarez with a little mistake, maybe Aramis Auga can be able to overtake him with the slipstream, but doesn't seem to have the power right now. He's closing in, but he will most likely be in the rough limiter, and he was. So like I said, it's not that easy to overtake someone with those cars, especially not with the setup those guys are driving right now. By the way, we definitely need to mention that those guys are driving with fixed setups, so everyone's got the same car setup to work with. Now Alvarez with a little mistake, and Auga maybe on the inside of turn 1. Alvarez gives him the room, tries to switch back, but Auga defends the left side of the track. Now Alvarez trying to bump draft him a little bit. Meanwhile, Peter Jones already gained 1 second on Nicola Bianco. He definitely wants to get him ASAP, but we're just in lap 7 right now of 32. And he should definitely be able to catch up to him if he doesn't do mistakes, but we'll see. In the background we see Felix Kims in 9th so far, and Sven Arne Andersson in 10th. Kenneth Rackland did a mistake, as it seems, or maybe he was in the pits already. He's 30 seconds down to Sven Arne Andersson. That's quite a big gap. I'm pretty sure he was in the pits. Fortunately, we're not able to look that up. So we get a little ride with Nicola Bianco, our leader. We're already into lap 7 and we haven't seen him on screen that much so far. So we'll give him a little bit of on-screen time right now. Our pole setter and yeah, right now leader. We'll see how that works out. He's got a gap to Peter Jones of about 7.5 seconds at the moment. Maybe we can get the chance and do a little onboard lap with him, a complete lap, without any action happening right now. I'll leave you alone with the pictures and the sound of the car. Up around the Mount Panorama circuit here in Bathurst with the current leader Nicky Avianco. Peter Jones, meanwhile, oh, he had a little mistake there in turn 1. Lost quite a lot of time. And that's a big deal right there. If you make a mistake in turn 1 or off the mountain on the back straight, you lose plenty of time because yeah, it's a long straight after those corners, and yeah, you lose all the momentum right there. And another big mistake from Peter Jones. He seems to be a little bit nervous right now. Martinas Jurglavicius now under pressure, under heavy pressure from Saulius Laurenavicius, who dives it down the inside, maybe a little bit too aggressive. Jurglavicius tries to switch back. Laszlo Tegla's around the outside as well. 3 wide, they go up the hill and try to make it fit. In the end, the positions didn't change. Everything's as it was before. But that was quite interesting. Really wild driving right there. Can't really overtake in this sector. Can't really manage to make the move right here unless your opponent makes a big mistake. You definitely have to hang behind him to get him on the back straight down the hill. That's a good exit from Laurenavicius. Maybe you could try the move on Jurglavicius in front of him, but it's quite a big gap, nearly 4/10. The ref limiter will most likely kill the attack. But Laurenavicius seems to be way faster. And he might try it. No, he gets into the pits. So this Laurenavicius gets into the pits, tries the undercut on Jugulevicius and Teglas. Maybe that's the right decision right here. Chris Davis will definitely get through. Christian Alvarez could be close. Yeah, Alvarez will definitely go through as well. Let's see how much time Laurenavicius loses in the end. Pit stop time won't show up at the moment, but we'll see how big the gap is to Jugulevicius. It's about 27.5 seconds he lost in the pits. And really important for him is to keep in front of Felix Kims right here. To have quite fresh air in front of him, but it seems like it worked out. So Laurenavicius dropped back to 8th due to his pit stop. And yeah, we'll see how that works out in the end. He's the first guy of the upper field to make the pit stop. Tries the undercut on many of those guys, but the fresh tires aren't warm enough yet. After behind Felix Kims, we see Sven Andersson in 10th position. Still, maybe he was in the pits as well already. Because Kenneth Ragland is already 5 seconds behind him. It were 30 a few laps ago. So they're definitely closing up at the moment. In the lead we still got Bianco, 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds right now in front of Peter Jones. Jugulevicius still defending from Laszlo Teglas, and he made a mistake! Jugulevicius with a big mistake. Hammered the car into the wall, wasn't able to control it, got a big talent slapper there on the braking zone. Now a little bit of argy-bargy right here with Teglas. He tries it around the outside, pretty damn big move right here. He manages to keep side with him. A little bit of tapping on the straight, nobody wants to give room. And Jugulevicius still got the inside of turn 1 and keeps the 3rd position so far. But it costs plenty of time for both of them. Respectively, watching Laurenavicius now only 27.0 seconds behind them at the moment. So this means Laurenavicius already gained 0.4 seconds on both of them after his pit stop, which will mean he most likely undercut Jugulevicius, and it seemed to work so far. But we'll see how much liters of fuel both of them will have to get back into the pits and see how that works out for their race strategy in the end. But Jugulevicius is definitely under big pressure, under heavy pressure from Laszlo Teglas, who's hammering his car here on the uphill section. Teglas with the mistake! Oh! Bad hit into the wall, really bad hit, and that's really unfortunate because he had a really great race so far. Now watch out for Chris Davis, he definitely needs to get through this section right now. Yeah, slows a bit down, does it safe, but that's very unfortunate for Laszlo Teglas, who was in such a good position so far. Also, we've seen Kenneth Ragland now overtaking Sven Andersson, who dropped back to 11th position, but still racing. We're 1/3 through this event, through the Bathurst 200 so far, and we've had an astonishing event on the first 10 laps. Peter Jones must have had a mistake. We'll try to get that on the replay to see what happened, because he's down by 13 seconds right now. Lost 7 seconds, sounds like a spin. Oh yeah, he spun it on the chicane in sector 3. Maybe a little bit too late on the brakes there, tried to drift it in and made a mistake that cost him plenty of time. He lost, yeah, roughly 8.5 seconds on Bianco, and his tires might be down as well. In the meantime, we see Jurglavicius and in the background Chris Davis in the pits. On the top left corner you could have seen Felix Kims entering the pits as well. And we see Jurglavicius stays in front of Laurinavicius. He somehow managed to keep in front of Saulius Laurinavicius, which his undercut didn't work in the end. That's very unfortunate for Saulius Laurinavicius, and in the end it seems that Martinas Jurglavicius did the best of his strategy to keep it out as long as possible. Maybe that's the way to do it. Peter Jones now dropped another 4 seconds to Nicola Bianco. Peter Jones seemed to have some really big trouble here trying to get his car back. Maybe he's got a puncture, I'm not sure about that. But that's plenty of time he's losing here. He already requested the pit stop. But he's going full speed down the hill on the back straight. So it seems like he doesn't have that big problems with the car itself, or at least not with the tires. But he's losing plenty of time right now, and I'm pretty sure he'll enter the pits right now. Oh yeah, it looks like his rear tires are done so far. So he can't really accelerate anymore. And that's definitely a spin because of the tires, and it looks like his rear tires are now flat. He's got a flat tire, and that makes his car spin and spin and spin. He definitely needs to recover from that. That's really unfortunate for him as well, and that might give the victory to Bianco right now. If Bianco manages to keep running without any mistakes or any trouble with tires, he shall be able to win this race by ease. By the way, Christian Alvarez slowly and slowly managed to climb up the hill and also climb up the grid to get back into second position. Of course, we need to mention that he wasn't in the pits already. He wasn't in the pits yet, but that's quite impressive. Aramis Augan now gets followed by Martinas Jurglavicius for third position. I'm pretty sure that won't be the big deal. They will switch positions ASAP, because Jurglavicius is on the superior strategy. Definitely on the superior strategy, fighting for second position, and yeah, he gives him the room, and then we will definitely try to coast Laurinavicius a bit of time in the mountain section, who's right behind Jurglavicius, and on the end of stint 1 he was the faster man, and it seemed like the undercut would work and he would switch positions with Jurglavicius, but now Laurinavicius, Saulius Laurinavicius, is in big trouble right here, heading down the hill from now on. And Aramis Auga is definitely trying to block him off there, but he's on really dead tires, and he shouldn't be able to resist that much. Saulius Laurinavicius pushed his way through a little bit. Not the quite gentleman-like stuff we see here, but sometimes as a racing driver you just have to manage your way through, and sometimes you even have to push your way through. Just like that, Laurinavicius lost a lot of time right there, was like 1 second behind Jurglavicius before hanging off behind Auga. Now it's 3 seconds of a gap, and he lost like 2 seconds on the uphill section. And that's very tough for him to recover. His gap to Jurglavicius on the end of stint 1 was definitely bigger, and he was able to close a definitely bigger gap already. But it also means that he has to do it again, and I don't think it'll be that easy. Meanwhile, Peter Jones re-overtook Chris Davis after his pit stop, and he will be furious. He will definitely be furious about this situation. He definitely wanted to take the win and definitely wanted to fight for the win, and in the end, his tire management killed his strategy. and most likely ruin his race. Meanwhile, we see Laszlo Teglash after his pit stop, his definitely necessary pit stop after his crash, really unfortunate events for him, trying to fight his way back up the field. First guy is Sven-Arne Andersson, right in front of him in the battle for 10th. Teglash is way faster than him, but we also need to mention that Laszlo Teglash is one of the definitely fairest drivers we can see here at IVRC. He's doing an astonishing job managing to avoid contact and fight really clean. But maybe he needs a little bit more aggressive. Definitely here on the events. Yeah, he does the move on the inside of Sven-Arne Andersson in turn 1. And in the background, we've already seen Nico Avianco, who's managed to nearly close the gap to lap those two drivers in front of him. The gap between Bianco and Christian Alvarez now up to 46 seconds. That's really big. That's really much in the end. Alvarez with a mistake. Maybe his tires are down as well. I haven't seen him in the pits so far. And it looks like he's getting in. Yeah, he's going to the pits right now. Maybe the same mistake as Peter Jones. Maybe getting in one lap too late. And but we haven't seen it. In the background we see Martinas Jurgelvicius getting in the pits a second time. And that's quite interesting because he has stopped just a few laps ago. And we definitely didn't expect to see him in the pits that soon again. We see Peter Jones retaking 4th position right now. Chris Davis up into 5th. Jurgelvicius repairing some damage. We definitely seen that. Kims shouldn't get through. Alvarez into 6th and Jurgelvicius after repairing in 7th. Maybe dropping behind Kims into 8th, and that would be unbelievably unfortunate. Nearly all drivers fighting for 2nd, 3rd and 4th position in form of Jurgelvicius, Teglash and Peter Jones had some sort of mistake or some sort of error throughout their strategies and thrown it all away. That's unbelievable. So now we've got Saulius Laurinavicius, who was hanging right behind Jurgelvicius and had some big trouble overtaking Aramis Auga in the uphill section. Now somehow managed to get into 2nd position and fight for the podium. Peter Jones now rushing towards Auga. Auga's tires seem to be dead by the moment. But he will most likely try to do a one-stop strategy and just come in the next lap. That's why he's still out there. Yeah, you can see how big the difference between those tires is. As Peter Jones just, furiously rushing away on the switchback move down the hill. Back into 3rd position. And so it goes. Peter Jones with a really big trouble after his tires were completely done dead. And now he's back up to 3rd. And only 9.5 seconds behind Saulius Laurinavicius, whom he should be definitely able to overtake for 2nd. So it should be a safe 2nd for him if he manages to close the gap to Laurinavicius. But yeah, the win is most likely gone, and that's the unfortunate event for him. Chris Davis now into 4th. Meanwhile, Aramis Auga going into the pits from 5th position. That means Christian Alvarez retakes 5th. Sorry for that. Jurgelvicius and Kims will overtake Auga as well, as he's standing in the pit lane. So Auga will get out of the pits as 8th. There he goes. Really close. Unfortunate for him to get out behind Kims. But maybe that could be that could become a really interesting battle. Meanwhile, we see Kenneth Ragland with a little mistake in the first turn right there. But he managed to do a really good job so far. Kenneth Ragland in 9th position. Really stable, 18 positions, sorry for that, 18 seconds, I mean, in front of Laszlo Teglash. So he should be sure in 9th. Pretty safe call. And he's just 5 seconds behind Armas Auga in front of him. So he's really close to the rest of the pack. Teglash, meanwhile, definitely fuming to get back up the field, but it's a really tough job for him. He needs to gain more than 1 second per lap to catch up to Ragland. That's quite a big of a deal. Sven Andersson still going on in 11th position, and Bianco leading, and he's leading big time. He was in the pits right now, as it seems, because it's only 30 seconds to Salis Laurinavicius. Yeah, he definitely was in the pits already. And he's doing good. He's doing really well. No big trouble for him so far. He's pretty much the only guy without any trouble, except Chris Davis, who somehow managed to get into 4th. But all the other drivers had some sort of trouble, some sort of issues throughout the first race half. As we go into the second half, as this is our 17th lap. And Laurinavicius only 4 seconds in front of Laurinavicius. Laurinavicius only 4 seconds in front of Jones. Sorry for that. I'm a little bit confused right now. Peter Jones with another little mistake. Not too much, but those little mistakes keep you aware that you're driving a racing car. I mean, sometimes you just need to do mistakes to not fall asleep somehow, and to not lose concentration. If you lose focus and somehow you get into some bigger trouble, you most likely ruin your whole race. So small trouble is all okay. At least most of the time. Pretty sure Peter Jones will be furious about his mistake on the first stint. He will definitely be able to catch up to Laurinavicius. But it's always different. There's always a big difference between catching up to someone and actually overtake him. As Laurinavicius is definitely recognized as one of the most experienced drivers in IVRC so far. And he's also one of the guys who might be the hardest to overtake, because he defends so good. He knows how to defend so well. But for now, he seems to be quite slower than Peter Jones. Jones and Bianco, meanwhile, doing nearly the same lap times, so Jones not closing in to Bianco so far. Looks like the win has been decided already, if nothing too special happens to Nicola Bianco in front. Big mistake by Laurinavicius, losing him all his momentum right there. And Jones is on him. He's definitely on him, just a few tenths now. Usually I'd say he won't be able to make it on the mountain section, but Peter Jones is so seriously fast right now. He maybe does it even right here. Switchback move onto the back straight, not able. A little bit of a better exit by Laurentius, I would actually say, but the slipstream definitely gains Peter Jones the position for second right now. Laurentius tries to catch the toe of him to maybe retake the position, but he's too far back. The slipstream and the ref limiter aren't big enough to manage it. So Peter Jones now back into second position, where he was in front of his pit stop, Misery. Chris Davis still in fourth. Christian Alvarez in fifth. Only 3 seconds separating those two drivers. Christian Alvarez, definitely one of the most experienced drivers here in IVRC since 2018, since the beginning of 2018, the Touring Car Championship. He's done 3 seasons there. Took a bit of a time off in 2019. Yeah, tried to attack during the COVID crisis in 2020 to re-establish his name in IVRC. And those events, like the Formula 3 and GT3 World Cup in Macau, where he definitely did a really good job, finishing in, I believe, 3rd and 4th, yeah, gain him name, and yeah, he definitely tries to keep the toe, and yeah, drive out another big result here on the Bathurst 200. Chris Davis, meanwhile, losing a bit of time. Little mistake from him. Alvarez already gained half a second right there. Maybe a bit more. Alvarez seems to be faster. That could be the next big duel, but we've got another duel going on, and that's called Auge against Ragland. Ragland managed to close the gap of 5 seconds down to just half a second. Ragland is really doing well at the moment, giving his best to set the pressure on Aramis Auge and Martinez Jurgelvicius, both Team Tempest Racing drivers. Jurgelvicius definitely lost some of his speed. Don't know what happened there. I mean, he had to come to the pits 2 times already, which is really unfortunate for his strategy, but he doesn't seem to have the pace anymore as well. Yeah, we can definitely see the gap between those 3 drivers decreasing more and more. Auge closing into his teammate, Jurgelvicius, who was on the better strategy. Now Auge should be, I believe. And Ragland right behind them, who's most likely the fastest of those. But we definitely need to remember that Ragland was in the pits during the opening laps. And he might be only faster than those 2 in front of him, because he doesn't have to the fuel and has to refuel during the next few laps, and that will throw him back into 9th. Definitely big mistake by Jurgelvicius. Auge gets through. Ragland couldn't quite make it. Oh, on the outside! Usually you can't do it right there because you're slipping the car, just as we've seen on Ragland. You can do it in this corner, but just on the inside usually. And that's tough enough, I believe. Ragland definitely faster. Jurgelvicius trying to, yeah, break him a little bit down, to give his teammate Aramis Auge the chance to escape a little bit in 6th position. But I'm pretty sure Kenneth Ragland still has to come to the pits a second time. Now Raglan trying the move on the back straight. Jurgevicius with the mistake, breaking on the grass. But he can hold it. He holds it. Jurgevicius, big defending move from him. Raglan not into the pits, staying on track. Jurgevicius with a little bit of a bad escape from the last corner. Now Raglan on the inside, braking really late, but he manages to get through. Now he needs to keep the position, defending from a really unfortunate Martinas Jurgevicius throughout this race. Maybe he can quite catch up in the slipstream, but he can't. He can't catch up. Slipstream isn't big enough. Tries the dive bomb for the mistake of Raglan, but he can't force it. So Raglan now up into 7th position. Another 2 seconds behind Aramis Auga. So he lost quite a bit of time right there. We go a little bit more to the front. Back to Christian Alvarez, who still trying to catch up to Chris Davis. The gap close to 1.5 seconds right now. Chris Davis doing a pretty impressive job. To be quite honest, I'm not definitely sure if this Chris Davis is the Chris Davis from the 2020 6 Hours of Daytona, but if he is, he did an awesome job right there. He's absolutely fast. If he is, it would be awesome for the IVRC to keep him racing right here. And we've got a DNF. Martinas Jurgevicius DNF'd from the race. What was going on right there? We are trying to keep up with it on the replay. And it must have been some sort of disconnect or maybe a really bad incident. Oh yeah, he hit the wall and... Is it? Yeah, it's a flat spot. It's a flat spot. And he just retires. He doesn't want to, yeah, he definitely didn't want to get to the pits for a 3rd time. Now we've got Kenneth Raglan getting into the pits. Just like I mentioned, he will most likely have to pit again 10 laps before the end of the race. Now Alvarez right behind Chris Davis. Many things happening right now. Alvarez seems to be the faster guy, but sometimes he's a little bit too aggressive. We'll see how that works out in duel with Chris Davis for 4th position. Davis with a big mistake. That's a chance for Alvarez, but usually you can't overtake right here. He tries it nonetheless, and Davis gave him the room. Yeah, Davis gave him the room big time there, not defending too hard. Cause if he tried to defend that position, it most likely would have turned out into a crash. Davis with another big mistake. Maybe his tires are gone as well. But his first pit stop wasn't that late. Oh, his tires seem to be gone. Tires seem to be gone. Another spin. Spin by Chris Davis. Continue. Please continue, Mr. Davis. You can't keep the 5th position. You can't keep fighting for it. You just need to get back to the pits. But his car seems to be hanging a little bit. And this usually means he got a flat spot on the front right. And that makes it really hard for him to get through the chicane right now. Let's hope nothing goes wrong. Yeah, he's slowing down. He's definitely slowing down. And there you can see it. That's a flat spot on the front right for Chris Davis. He somehow needs to get his car back to the pits right now. Unfortunate event for him as well. As pretty much all drivers got some right now. Except Nicola Bianco in the lead. Don't want to jinx it, but that's just the way it is right now. Aramis Auga taking 5th. Already turned on his lights to maybe show a bit of of a extra show. Felix Kim's into the pits as well. Chris Davis looks like a usual standing time, not too long. Yeah, but he always seems. No, that's quite long. That's really long. Maybe he repaired something. Now Kenneth Rackland overtaking Kims and maybe overtaking Davis. Now Davis is a little bit too far ahead, but he's really close. That should be around only 3 seconds. And that could get quite interesting between the two of those. Yeah, it's only 2 seconds in the end. Now the times got regulated. That's really tough. That could be an awesome finish for Kenneth Rackland if he can manage to catch up to Chris Davis and fight him for 6th. Chris Davis coming out of the pits with low temperature tires, which doesn't make it easier for him. Usually he's the faster driver, but the momentum definitely shifted towards Rackland. Just 1 second. And we see Peter Jones in the pits again. Peter Jones again into the pits. Therefore, Saulius Laurinavicius now up into 2nd and Christian Alvarez up into 3rd. Yeah, Peter Jones is definitely changing tires as well. RMS Auga won't get through, so RMS Auga into the pits as well. Auga into the pits right now. Jones stays in 4th. Rackland now attacking Chris Davis, and it seems he got through. We will take a look on that in the replay. Yeah, was that a little bit of a mistake by Davis, or no? The exit on the downhill section was way better for Kenneth Rackland. Maybe Davis backs up a little bit right there, but Rackland has the way higher top speed. So we go back to the live picture and we see Rackland already, drives away for nearly 1.5 seconds. Auga came out of the pits right in front of them, so Rackland lost a bit of time. Maybe like 1 second to Auga. But what is Bianco doing? Bianco is still out, he's still driving in first, still leading the race. Ravavicius dropping back a little bit, and he gets into the pits as well. So Alvarez retakes 2nd position from him. I'm not sure, but I actually believe Alvarez should be able to get through. I don't think he has to stop another time, as it's only 7 laps left. Jones retakes 3rd from Laurinavicius. Laurinavicius seems to be standing pretty long. Oh yeah, definitely. He loses big time on Peter Jones. But he will get out of the pits way in front of RMS Auga. So he seems to be safe in 4th right now. And if I'm incorrect and Christian Alvarez has to stop again, he will get back onto the podium position. Alvarez, meanwhile, with a bad mistake right there. Now it's about how much can those tires go. Is he able to get through? He will most likely drop behind Peter Jones anyway, but He's got 25 seconds to Solis Laurinavicius in the fight for third position, and it's only 6.5 laps left for him. Jones is meanwhile definitely flying through the track. Little fight between Teglash and Kims for 8th position. And that was definitely no harmony between those two. As it looked like. Really big time argy-bargy. And Kims maybe looked like he wasn't that happy about it, flashing the lights on Teglash. Maybe someone needs to remember them, they're driving in the same team. Sven Andersson with a mistake in the meantime on the last corner, spun around, but he keeps on going. Peter Jones driving the fastest lap right now. Yeah, he was in the pits just a few moments ago, so that was definitely yeah, foreshadowed. Could have seen it coming, but I didn't want to call it out too early. So now Jones retaking second from Christian Alvarez, who lets him through. Alvarez, no defensive moves there. Yeah, it's... I believe, to be honest, Alvarez is doing the right things. It looks like he definitely wants to avoid some battles and to avoid dirty air on the corners, especially in the uphill section. To maybe get those tires to the end, to make P3 possible. And everyone who knows Christian Alvarez definitely knows that if there's some sort of possibility to make it to the end, he will try it. He will definitely try it. I mean, he's got nothing to lose. If he comes to the pits, he will definitely lose P3. So why not? It's a one-off event, and those are the risks you've got to take. At least in my honest opinion. Further behind, we see Kenneth Ragland gaining loads of time on Arimas Auga, now that his tires are on temperature. Oh, and he did a big mistake right there. Not the first time we see him banging to the wall on that corner. Fortunately, those V8 supercars are able to, yeah, just swish it away to to get back into his basketball theme. Another fastest lap from Peter Jones in the meantime, but he's nearly 1 minute down to Nicola Bianco, and that's absolutely crazy. Chris Davis with a big mistake. What happened there? It looks like he spun around right on the last turn of the mountain, of the Mount Panorama section. He just lost the rear end. And now he's got to limp back to the pits. He lost 7th to Teglash and 8th to Kims. And that's really unfortunate for him again. Sven Andersson, meanwhile, in the pits. Nicola Vilanco still in the lead. No moves to make the pit stop. Maybe he should make it, just to be on the safe side. I mean, if his tires go flat, he will most likely lose to win. And he's got more than 50 seconds gap to Peter Jones in second, and he can easily do another pit stop just to get sure, just to be on the safe side. Maybe you can go for the fastest lap as well and make it a big time victory, a grand slam in the end, without losing first position, starting from pole, doing the fast lap and win the race. That would be absolutely amazing. Auger still in front of Ragland. Gap is still on 2 seconds. And Alvarez dropped behind Laurinavicius. Alvarez somehow dropped behind him. I'm pretty sure Alvarez was in the pits. I'm pretty sure he was in the pits, unlike I expected him to do. Now he's 6 seconds behind Saulius Laurinavicius. And that's a hell of a gap to gain for him. Now Peter Jones going even 1 second faster than his fastest lap before. He's flying towards Bianco, but 2 seconds a lap is just not enough. He needs like 10 seconds per lap right now. But I don't see that happening. Alvarez with a big time mistake here. What is going on with him? He definitely needs to get more focus. I'm pretty sure Bianco won't go into the pits. He wants to make the victory really big and keep the gap to Jones as big as possible, as it looks like. Last lap was at 2:12.6. Meanwhile, Peter Jones' last lap was a 2:07.3, which is 5.3 seconds faster than Bianco in the lead. But yeah, Bianco can just do it. I mean, he's got the time to keep it slow and steady. A driver who doesn't got the time to keep it slow and steady is Christian Alvarez, who will be fuming that he had to do a second pit stop. And yeah, now got a pretty big gap to Saulius Laurinavicius, with which maybe just be taken if Laurinavicius makes the mistake. But for now it looks like Alvarez got bigger trouble to keep his car on track than Laurinavicius in front of him. Ragland now dropping back a little bit, lost 2.5 seconds to Aramis Auger right now. He can risk it. He was in the pits just a few laps ago, so he definitely will make it to the end on those tires and on this fuel load. And he's 22 seconds in front of Laszlo Taylor, so he will keep 6th for sure if he doesn't do big mistakes right now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he wanted to get into 5th really hard. Now Bianco lets Teglas by. Teglas now relapping himself. Bianco going pretty slow, just cruising it to the finish line. Just a few laps left. He's got 40 seconds, 41 seconds to be quite frank, at the moment. To Peter Jones in second, and it's only 3 laps left. So that should be into the back pocket of Nicola Bianco. Alvarez only 5 seconds behind Saulius Laurinavicius right now. Laurinavicius needs to keep the focus. He can definitely do it. Peter Jones' last lap was at 2:08.2, which was again 5 seconds, roughly 5 seconds faster than Nicola Bianco in front of him. But in the end, that won't be enough. It just won't be enough for Peter Jones if nothing goes wrong for Nicola Bianco. He's done an absolutely impressive job today. Easily on pole position in the qualifying. Yeah, without any mistake, really without any mistake throughout this 30 lap race so far. And I'm pretty sure he won't do any big mistakes throughout the last 2 laps. He's way too experienced for that. And he called the challenge on the GT3 World Cup at Macau 2 weeks ago. He called for the challenge, and Peter Jones and also myself accept the challenge. At least I'm not taking part in this race, because I'm pretty sure I would have been humiliated by Bianco as well. We took the challenge, and, and in the end, Bianco showed us how fast he actually can be. If nothing unexpected happens. Last lap 2:14.0. See what Jones does. Guess Jones is dropping his lap times as well right now. Looks like he's getting bit slower. Because I'm pretty sure the gap to Bianco was at 38 seconds on the last time crossing the start-finish line. Now it's 35, so shouldn't be that fast anymore. Yeah, it's only a 2:09.9, so Jones dropped his pace. He won't go anything near Bianco anymore. Alvarez 3.5 seconds to Laurenavicius for 3rd position, but if he keeps on closing the gap like he does right now, it still shouldn't be enough. It shouldn't be enough. And that's really unfortunate, because Alvarez did a really big time job. Maybe he could have gone to the end with only 1 pit stop, but that's just imagination by myself. Laurenavicius is now dropping loads of time in front of him. Alvarez is quite faster. Gained more than a half second only in turn 1. Meanwhile, Ragland dropped behind Teglash, and it looks like Ragland did another pit stop, and that's very odd, to be honest. Didn't expect that to be happening. Bianco still leading the race. And now he's on the last lap. Nicola Bianco on the last lap, and we go on board with him for the last few kilometers of this Bathurst 200. And now I shut the fuck up. And this is it for Nicolas Bianco. Congratulations to the Frenchman taking his first victory in IVRC history here for the Bathurst 200. And we need to go back, sorry for the other guys, but we need to switch back to Christian Alvarez and Saulis Laurenvicius, who will battle for third position throughout the last few turns of the race. Peter Jones will definitely, we will switch back to him right now. Peter Jones now finishing in second position. Good job for him, strong recovery, still 30 seconds down, and that's the last chance for Christian Alvarez. Will he be able to attack Saulis Laurenvicius? In my opinion, he's too far back. He won't make it. If Laurenvicius does no mistakes, Alvarez won't make it. Alvarez with the better line. Sees that Laurenvicius will go wide. It will be into the last corner. Laurenvicius or Alvarez for third or fourth. Alvarez around the outside. That would be absolutely impressive. And Alvarez done it! Alvarez has done it! Christian Alvarez finishing the Bathurst 200 in amazing fashion in third position in front of Saulis Laurenvicius, finishing on fourth in the end. That was really, really impressive, that last lap, and especially that last turn from Christian Alvarez. Aramis Auga from Team Tempest Racing will come home in fifth position in front of Laszlo Teglash in sixth, who's still driving, but he will definitely keep the sixth position, as Kenneth Rackland in seventh has already crossed the line, as well as Felix Kims in eighth, Chris Davis in ninth, and Sven Arne Andersson in 10th position. The only retirement we've got today is Martinas Jurgelevicius. That was really, really unfortunate for him. But there's one big winner today, and that man is Nicolas Bianco. Congrats again to you. That was absolutely amazing today. That was a really, really amazing drive. Now we've got P2, we've got Peter Jones here in our interview booth. Give me quite a second.
User was moved to your channel.
And there is, yeah, pretty much, let's call him vice champion of the Bathurst 200 2020. Peter Jones is here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Peter, that was quite an interesting race overall. in the end, you definitely might have challenged Nicola Bianco for the win, but you've had some big time trouble in front of your first pit stop. What happened there? Can you give us some impressions?
I did, yeah. Well, because I hadn't actually signed up, I hadn't actually done the practice on longer stints, so I actually went with the softs. And I was hoping they would last up until the first pit stop, but literally on the very last lap of having them, I got a puncture on the right rear. And I basically had to drive the entirety of the lap with a right rear puncture. So that obviously sent me back quite a way, and the pit exit is quite slippery anyway, because it hasn't been rubbered in at all. So that kind of just caught me out, and I got sent spinning.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate. We've had it in the stream as well. We definitely didn't want to rub it in or something, but we just had to take a look on that, and yeah, that cost you plenty of time in the end. And as we can see, it's only 30 seconds on the finish line. I mean, maybe Nicola would have done a different strategy if that wouldn't have happened. Maybe he would have pitted the second time as well. But yeah, you drove the fastest lap by 2.5 seconds in the end. Wow. with a 2:7.370, which is absolutely impressive because it's like 1 second faster than the fastest time driven on the track before. And that's really amazing. But yeah, how do you feel after this race? Is it more of a maybe frustration because of what could have been, or is it still quite fine for you because it's the first time you're participating in the Bathurst 200 and still managed to get into second and get by far into second, even after such miserable circumstances?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of it really, because had I put the practice in and not had the issues with the puncture and tyre problems, I reckon I definitely could have challenged for the win. That would have been impressive. But I mean, starting from last, I really can't put a fault to second. I'll take it quite happily. It's quite amazing.
Really, really amazing drive, to be honest. You've just shown another time what is actually possible if you're able to run a free strategy and stuff, and a free race. Also longer than just 20 minutes as usual.
Exactly, yeah.
And something you'd like to say, maybe some words for the upcoming 2021?
Not quite sure. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, I'm guessing there'll be a massive overhaul of it due to the stuff that happened this year. But I'm definitely really, really excited for what's going to come up next year. I'm still not quite sure if or what series I'll actually be participating in. I'll need to watch out for that. But yeah, I mean, tonight was an absolutely insane race as well.
Oh well, in the end there will be plenty to choose, because we're planning big time this year. Presentation coming up next week, by the way.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the admins for letting me drive as well, because I didn't actually get the required laps in to participate. So
yeah, I mean, you've had to start from the back for that.
Exactly.
But you recovered astonishingly good. And
also, if she's still here, my friend Brianna, she was kind of hyping me up before the race, and if she's still there, thank you very much. So yeah, I hope I made you proud.
Yeah, so thank you, Brianna, from all of us, and and thank you, Peter, for being there today and giving us an really entertaining race, and also thanks for having you in the interview booth.
No worries. It's been very entertaining for me as well.
See you soon.
And you.
User was moved out of your channel.
You've heard it, guys. That was our P2 in the end, Peter Jones, doing a pretty impressive drive after some miserable circumstances, but he still managed to get into second, and I'm sure we will be hearing a lot from him during the next year, and we're definitely looking forward to. And as we don't have Nicola Bianco available for an interview right now, I will close this day's race with some info on the season presentation we're holding next week. Like I said before, the presentation will be held on Sunday next week, so on Sunday 20th December, and we'll be presenting our 2021 IVRC schedule and changes on this day right here live on YouTube. And it would be absolutely great to have any of you back then. And let's hope we see each other and you guys keep it up. See you then. Have a great evening or day wherever you live out there, and see you soon. This is Mark Stracker, and this was the IVRC Bathurst 200 2020. Till then, bye.